How do I do this again? Oh, like that, I talk. Okay, we are going to be making Moroccan Carrot soup. Why are none of these... Where's the one I was using? This. Currently, we gotta start off by making the harissa, because I need to work with some pans. Those need to have some spices toasted. That's also something I'm missing. And once the spices are toasted, then I'll be able to use the burner to start on the stock, which is the thing that's going to take the most time. But I am also currently waiting for my water in the teapot to boil so I can start rehydrating rehydrating my brain would be a good start. Rehydrating the peppers that go into the harissa. Rehydrating my brain would be a good start, though. What we need to start with is toasting coriander, cumin, and caraway seeds. And that's the sound of the pot boiling. Nice timing. Where's a good place to do this? Okay, so this calls for like 7 New Mexico or Guajillo. We've got Guajillo. I'm just trying to figure out. I have the teapot in one hand and nowhere to put it down. So these are dried Guajillo chilies, and our first step is 7 of them, give or take, adjusted for some of them being a little bit on the small side. Hey, scrap metal. Also, hi, Crowley. Just take some boiling water, pour it over the top. Some... Do I not have plastic wrap? Well, that's not helpful at all. Aluminum foil it is. I really just need to be able to put a cover on this so that it will steam. And those will rehydrate and get to a point where we can blend them. And they are going to be the pepper for our guajillo. Hi, Dragon Girl. Congrats on your first. This is a teaspoon of caraway. Third one I check. Yeah, aren't you supposed to be camping? And you are 2 teaspoons. Calls for coriander. That's the rest of my coriander. I'll restock that later. That was cumin. This is caraway. The lighter one is cumin. Hi, Daylight. Yeah, Daylight can hear me. I'm okay. I'll be better if this cough and sore throat ever decides to go away. Toasting some caraway, cumin, and coriander seed for the harissa. Once that's done, then we'll get on to the thing that's going to take me the longest. Once this is done, which you can start, you can see that pan's smoking a fair bit. You can also see that there's some popping going on and a little bit of color change. Dragon Girl, aren't you supposed to be in a tiny tent? I'll deal with... Once these are ready, I'll go out and get my knives, which I just realized that I forgot. Cinnamon. Carrots, onion, celery. These are for the harissa and the carrot soup itself. Oh yeah, I should probably bring up... Actually, no, I'm not bringing up a carrot soup recipe because I kept looking and there's a lot of variations, so I'm playing. So you can see those are really starting to darken. That's what you're looking for. Now from there, put that on, and I'm gonna go get my knives. Darken the seed, yep. Toast it. We're gonna start by making a vegetable stock. In the process, talk about how little a trip it is from vegetable stock to chicken stock. Hint, chicken. But I'm gonna start with some water in the pan because I don't actually want to toast the spices. Now, the big thing with vegetable stock is in restaurant kitchens, this is how what you would use what is scrap. So when we take an onion and we pull off the root, we take off the skin, we would use that to make stock. I don't have that because I'm not in a professional kitchen. So instead, we just do not take anything out. Stocks are basically a way to make sure as little as possible goes to waste. Because we don't care what the celery looks like, what the carrot looks like, what the onion looks like. If all we're really doing is boiling all the flavor and nutrients out of it. Visual appearance, who cares? That means all the breaking down. You don't want to boil the absolute crap out of stock. The bitterness actually doesn't come from boiling. The bitterness is... So because we're using a lot of ends, and we use bones in some of it, there's a lot of off pieces that go in. And when you make stock, what you're supposed to do is there's going to be, it's called scum. It's not going to happen as much when we're dealing with a vegetable stock. But if I ever make a chicken or a beef or a pork stock, I'll definitely be able to show that there. It's little white bubbles, like foam, that appears on the top. And if you just leave that there, that's going to give you a lot of off flavors, a lot of bitterness. There's two ways of dealing with this. There's the normal stock way, which is you just take, like, there's things called soup skimmers. They're about this big, fine mesh strainer material on a handle, so the mesh will be like this, and there'll be a handle that comes up like that. You put it in, you skim around the surface, you take the scum off the top. Done. Simple enough to get rid of. Hey, Young. Thanks for the resub. Stealing money from Bezos. He's got enough of it. But mostly what that is protein strands that, like, come out weird. I forget the exact, like, scientific technicalities of it, but the other way to deal with this is be, as the French usually are, incredibly extra. And you take egg whites. And you will put egg whites into your stock. And it will float up to the surface and form what's called a raft. And that raft will have all those impurities in it. And you just let that boil away. And when it's done boiling away, you take that egg white off, and that is how you make a consommé. It is extremely effective and extremely time-consuming, like most things the French do in the kitchen. So you also... Oh, thanks for the follow, Darius. Yeah, there's, for the most part, you're not going to be boiling your stocks. You bring them to a boil and then you drop them to a simmer. There is one specific type of Japanese stock called a python, where you do just boil the absolute crap out of your chicken bones. Or I did it with turkey one year. Yeah, so we basically filled this pot up with carrots, onion, celery, basic components of a stock. And now we're going to top it up with water. Get the water to a boil, bring it down to a simmer. With veggie stock, you can usually do this for about an hour. Chicken stock, more like... You can do 2 hours. I've done it up to 6. It's not a big deal. Doesn't hurt you a bunch. And then pork and beef, you want more around the 8+ hour range. Pork and beef, you also generally don't... You only use neck bones for both of those. And you will generally put... You'll roast the bones before you put them into the stock. With a chicken, this is another one of those stocks, or how we use things we would otherwise let go to waste. When you butcher a chicken, you'll take the legs off, take the wings off, take the breasts off, and then you're left with the backbone and the breastplate. Most people don't use that. It's kind of considered the waste materials. You make stock with them. Because what stock is boiling out of the bones. So we've got stock going. We've got harissa going. This is the part where I just start trying to figure out how to put this all together. So you can see that the water's darkened. They've started to plump up. So they're not the dried husks. We give them a stir. Not quite ready to work with. What we can do now I made python without chicken feet. Yeah, so the reason you don't boil it is because there's some weird science that I don't fully understand. But one of the things that's unique about python is that you'll cook things out of the chicken bones by cranking the heat way up and leaving it way up that you wouldn't otherwise get. And the big thing is that I think it gets collagen. It might grab some... So when you heat the bones, the pores of the bone close. And the reason you don't normally boil is you want to coax the marrow functionally out of the bone into your stock. And that's where a lot of your flavoring goes. But when you make python, you're going to get a really rich, because you boil things out that you wouldn't otherwise. You also get a very cloudy stock, because you're boiling the things that you're normally trying not to get out that cause the cloudiness. It's an intentional choice, but it's a different approach to making stock. I mean, with tonkatsu, which is a variation on pork stock, you kind of can't avoid getting that with pork. But instead of doing a very short, high boil on chicken, you do a very long, slow simmer on pork, and you'll get a lot of the same things out. It just takes 8 to 12 hours. I have a recipe to make ramen around here somewhere that takes 14 hours start to finish. Whereas python is 45 minutes to an hour. Done. Keeping an eye on that. I need a spoon for the ginger. Ginger is going in the carrot soup. I need the mortar and pestle for the spices. You can tell I'm a bit out of practice. There's you, there's you. And maybe a little bit under the weather as well. I want to be very careful that I do not burn myself or pour this outside. Yeah, I knew there was a reason, but I've made Python all of once, and didn't exactly go looking into the food science behind it. It's a fascinating stock, though. Really good. And we toast the spices for two main reasons. I gotta take it off the table because the process of doing that was shaking the table a little bit, which not good when the pot is almost full. So the two reasons we toast the spices is you activate the aromatic oils, which increase the flavor. That's the big thing. The other thing is that softens the spices a bit, so they're a lot easier to grind. Yeah, it tastes better and it's easier to grind. I have a food processor over on the right, but we're going to be using that to make the actual harissa once we get there. So the harissa has spices, chilies, we're going to need some garlic, some lemon juice, which is somewhere here. I know I brought the lemons in here. Lemons. Chilies. Did I bring the lemons in here? Oh, I did. They just fell into my energy drink box. They were hiding. Hey, Lone. Yep, new year. New year, la 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 la. Come here. So we're gonna need a lemon. Get a little bit of an acid into everything. Screw your cayenne. Garlic cloves. Extra virgin. Stock. Yeah, a little, any coarse salt will get you, like, I don't know quite how to put it, but coarse salt make grind easier. Basically, it does exactly what you think it would do. It's coarse. It's like sand. Deal with it, Anakin. And I guess the short way of putting it is that when you grind, the salt will not break down very quickly, but it has a lot of pointy bits that will dig into everything around it. Now's the part where we smash our garlic. Easy peel. That'll also, like when you toast spices, activate aromatics, increase flavor. I love multi-purpose reasons for doing things. I would do this if all it did is made the garlic taste better. But it also makes it oh so easy to peel. Which is great, because garlic is a pain in the ass to peel. So garlic, spices. No, that's boring. The recipe is calling for roasted red peppers, and my response is that's boring. We don't need to temper it down. Do need the tomato paste for this. And yeah, specifically paste. It'll give you a little bit more depth to your tomato. You can see we're starting to get bubbles here. As those bubbles go, we should be able to make sure more of this is exposed to the hot water. That's what I like it. Why am I taking... Now is this... Nope, I can handle that just fine. You want to make sure that your peppers don't have water hanging out in their cavities. You don't want to get rid of all the water, but we hold on to that because at the end you'll use that to... Here's the trick. If you ever see this and you're like, how the heck do I open it? There's a little point right there. That's how you open them. More spicy. More spicy. Don't tell them. About 2 tablespoons of tomato paste in there. If you want to thin it out at the end, this is better than just using water because that water tastes like the peppers. Lemon. Juice of lemon. Yeah. You want to know 90% of most chefs' tricks? Every time a recipe says add water, we go, no. And we add stock instead. And then we need some... rest of the paprika. I need more paprika. And a little bit of salt, because salt makes everything better. Okay, now's the part where I mute my mic because we're going to be making very loud grindy noises. Yeah, I would never want to be a professional chef. It is not a lifestyle I encourage for fucking anyone. It is hell on your body and your mind. But the skills I got doing it for as long as I did, very useful. I'll never consider that time wasted. I started a thread in the Cooking Streams channel of when I don't have specific dishes I'm doing out of cooking games. What kind of stuff do people want to see? One of the first things Mel posted in there was pickles. I'm making pickles next week. That's my plan. I'm not going to push myself to like make stock, then the carrot soup, then play a game. We're just going to make the soup today, and then next week we'll make pickles. I like pickles. I mostly do a 16-4-1 brine that's refrigerated pickled. But I'll probably be doing a 16-4-1 brine and then doing probably a couple of Asian quick pickles, which kind of, sort of aren't even really pickles. They are more cured. But if you want to learn to make pickles, 1641 brines are your bread and butter. Intriguingly, not used to make bread and butter pickles. Generally, the extent of any boiling I do with the cucumber pickles, or with the 1641, is to get the salt to dissolve. Arisa. And we're going to use this to add, so harissa is a North African spice blend made from peppers. We're going to use this to add a little bit of heat into the carrots and a little bit of a Moroccan element. I was seeing a lot of different variations on exactly what the spices were. So I just kind of went to, well, what would make something Moroccan? And looked more into that and looked at what a traditional Moroccan spice blend is. Short answer is they're known for something called Ras El Hanout. So what's in the harissa is a lot of the spices that are in a Ras El Hanout. But we're also playing traditional North African spices against what goes good against carrots. So the big thing there is ginger, cinnamon, garlic. I need some paper towels. I don't know why I don't have any. You can see we started to get the boil, so we're going to drop the heat down a little bit. But the short answer to the question is yes. The long answer is I'm going to approach this very similarly to how I approached the salsa stream, which is that I'm not doing a dish a way. I'm going to do a style and explore how you can alter it by playing with. We start with the 1641 brine. We can spice that. How do we spice it? What other methods of pickling are there outside of a brine pickle? Harissa on my hand. Just kind of taking everything out now. Realizing I don't have a peeler, and I really should, because the next step We do want to peel the carrots that are going into the actual soup. Where are you? Not you. Pizza cutter's gonna get me nowhere. He'll do. You can already see there that all we put in there was water. We're already starting to get a lot of that color is going to come out of the onion skins. Fun fact, you can actually make pigment out of onion skins and paint with it. But basically, what I was talking about, you can see it right there. Those bubbles that are starting to form. When you're dealing with chicken or beef or pork stock, those will be... We can pop those pretty easily. Break them up just fine. On a pork or any kind of meat stock, those won't break up as easily. You need to... And they'll have... These are pretty clean, clear. They're going to be like... There's going to be bits of like a gray brown in it. And meat stocks. Hi, Mel. Harissa. I don't need this anymore, so we're going to dump the rest of this. Anytime you look at a recipe and it says to rehydrate your peppers and reserve the liquid, that's the reason why. Yeah, we started off by making harissa, which is going to go into our soup with the veg stock we are currently making. This veg stock's going to take about another half hour, 45 minutes. Like I was saying, you can start to see. Yes, carrot soup. Moroccan carrot soup. But these in a meat stock will be a lot dirtier looking, is the short way of putting it. And a lot firmer. Like, they won't break up. And when I say you want to skim, they're what you want to skin off. Because that dirt is called scum, and it is what will give your finished product off flavors. Now's the fun part. Not actual dirt. It might be if you didn't clean your vegetables. But no, mostly that's coming out of the bones, and it's impurities in the bones that you don't want to be in your finished stock, because they'll add off flavors. Not actual dirt. This, no bones. Beef stock? Chicken stock? Yeah. No, it's a 50 garlic chicken. Or is it 100 garlic chicken? Serrated peeler. Not my favorite. I don't know where the other one is, though. What? That joke was golden, Mel. What? Did you not like the joke? Mel, did you hear about the cows that were smoking the Mary Jane? Do you want to build a snowman? You didn't? You didn't get the stakes have never been higher? Mel liked that joke. Until she was reminded that it was a pun. So what I was saying earlier is that normally, when you make stock, you just do that. I'm gonna go see if I can find the other peeler. I cannot find the other peeler. We're just gonna have to make do with this one. Milkweed? You mean the thing that we need to grow more of so that monarch butterflies don't go extinct? Oh, and the stuff that emits a white milky liquid. If you squeeze it just right. What? Point to the lie, Mel. It's pointing? Oh, okay. Are you pointing at the screen, Mel? You know we can't see you, right? Not until Sunday. This is not... The pickle is pointing, okay. The pickle's pointing away from the screen on my screen. I don't know. Currently, my technique is peeling carrots. And because this peeler is not the best. Normally... Hey, Scribe. I'm doing okay. Normally I'd just be boom, 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 boom. But this is requiring a couple passes to take off the skin. So we're doing an up and down. Okay, that's enough of that peeler. You know, this song really doesn't belong on the chill playlist, but I'm too lazy to take it off. But one of the things I was saying earlier is part of what you use stock for in professional kitchens is a way to use up vegetable scraps. So when we peel carrots or peel onions or take the ends off of celery, instead of junking that, we will have a hotel pan that stays in the walk-in at all times, and you'll just steadily add your vegetable scraps to it. And when it gets filled, we make a batch of stock. How you doing, Scribe? I don't know. Is Mel ever alright? I think I made a couple of puns and she's losing it. Turn that down too far. And because at the end we just pull everything out of here, strain all of this out, we don't need to worry about bits of it being tough or not visually appealing. We're just going to take the flavor out of it. I don't know. I'm not adding one. I wouldn't use fennel. I wouldn't use cucumber. You generally are gonna want to stick to root vegetables. But I wouldn't use fennel or... trying to think. I probably wouldn't use beets. Mostly because it's gonna look like blood if you do that. Which, I mean, if you're into that. Peppers aren't a root vegetable. Generally, you want something that's going to hold up to being boiled. You also generally want something that we don't just consume whole. Just because of... the function of what a stock is in a kitchen. Like, for broccoli, I wouldn't make a stock with broccoli, but I'd make broccoli soup. The other reason I wouldn't really use broccoli in a stock, because broccoli is... Oh, I'm just peeling it. Because I'm using this to make a carrot soup, I'm just peeling the ginger, and I'm putting the skin right into the soup. The main reason I wouldn't use broccoli is the same reason I wouldn't use any other of the brassicas. Because if you cook them for a long period of time, they tend to output some noxious smelling chemicals that you don't really want to be in all of your vegetable stock productions. This I won't, because the onions, garlic, and ginger are going to go into the bottom of the pan along with some cinnamon. We're going to saute that, and then we're going to build the soup on top of it. And then at the end, we're going to blend it. So we're not going to microplane it because we don't need to get it really small right now. We're going to blend it later. Yeah, the big things we are doing... Actually, I've got cumin. I need more coriander. I should have coriander somewhere out here. It's you, right? Yep. So I don't have a recipe to point to here, because when I went looking for recipes, I wasn't really happy with what any of them were doing. So I'm kind of amalgamating. I'm taking bits and pieces from a bunch of recipes and mixing and matching in a way that I'm happy with. I think far too many of them... What's the purple jar? This one? It's a clay jar that I keep my salt in. Look, if Lone wants to put fruit in his vegetable stock, don't tell him he can't. So one of the wedding presents my parents got me was a set of these from a potter they knew. Or no, my parents didn't get it. A longtime friend of my parents got from a potter they knew a set of 4 of these, and we keep salt, sugar, tea, and forgets what's in the last one. But kitchen staples that stick out on the counter. Probably flour. I mean, the appropriate response here is vegetables do not exist botanically, they only exist culinarily. So chocolate chips, maybe, but it's like the largest one I have is like this big. It's huge. That's a lot of sesame seeds. I actually don't know what's currently in it. I don't know if anything is currently in it. We've got cumin, coriander. Oh, that's where my pepper is. Ginger, onion. Peel the ginger with the spoon, because that's what you do. Ah, yes, Mel. I have a container of salted fish. You think I'm gonna put salted fish in a breakable container when I have cats? Mel, I can't even tell you what's in it. I don't know. You can guess forever. You could be right. I wouldn't know. Hi, Amy. Can I help you? Amy probably heard some mention of the T word and is now floating around me. That or salted fish. We're just kind of rough chopping this. Because like I said, this is going to be sauteed in the bottom and then blended. Yeah, Amy? Yeah, Mel might be hungry. Oh, yeah, I still need to go back and highlight the Lotkie stream, don't I? This is getting close to being done, so I'm gonna go grab what I need to dismount it. Loud noises. They're too oily if you eat... I'm sorry. So you're just supposed to, like, make latkes and then let them sit around? And you'll get back to them later? Is that what I'm hearing? You know you're allowed to overrule family members when they're certifiably crazy, right? You know what else keeps your keeps your latkes from being too oily? Properly heating up the oil before you cook them in it. Now, ordinarily, I would take this, toss it right in, but we're getting close to being done cooking that, and anything I add to it will just extend how long it takes to cook. So, like, the two biggest tips on latkes are make sure your oil is hot and get a cookie sheet and a cookie and a drying rack, like the wire ones that you use for cookies. Put your drying rack above the cookie sheet, and when you take the latkes out, put them on the drying rack. The oil will drip down. Oh, I used olive oil last week. It's fine. You should use vegetable or canola just so you can heat it higher. But actually, did I use vegetable? Yep. Drying rack over a sheet pan. Or a paper towel. Those are the main two things I do. Generally, the paper towel will cover most of your removing of oils. Why would you be scared of vegetable oils? There's our onions, our ginger, trying to decide how much ginger I want in this. The correct answer is yes. That'll do. Why did you not? There we go. Better. I'm currently being harassed by onion smell. Why would you? I'm legitimately trying to figure out why someone would be afraid of vegetable oil. Every so often, I hear the sound of my treadmill turning on. I'm like, what did the cats do now? Because it's like on the same outlet as the tree. There is a tendency to get more and more neurotic as you get older, huh? Yeah, some don't wait for age, especially in this chat. Especially currently speaking into the microphone. Sanity is overrated. Okay, that's our garlic. Same with the ginger. Just gonna give this a bit of a rough chop. Once the garlic's done, the next thing I'm gonna do is strain the stock And then from there, we'll start building our carrot soup. A lot of this stuff is being done with the understanding that eventually I'm going to be blending this soup. So if this wasn't a blended soup, I'd probably care more about... Oof. Hi, Suli. I will be making a point of highlighting cooking streams going forward. I need to remember to do last week's. So in the stock is just carrots, onions, celery. Just a basic vegetable stock. I haven't exclusively been boiling scraps. There's also ginger peel. But yeah, stocks to me are something you do with scraps a lot. Nope. Okay. Those are not keep cool handles, so I will need towels. Another reason dish towels are so... I do not have a pricey blender. Eventually I want to get a Vitamix, but I don't currently have one. So another reason kitchen towels are so prevalent in a kitchen, well, dish towels are so prevalent in a kitchen, is you can just take a dish towel, fold it, ta-da! Now I can hold this handle. Yeah, shut up. You're getting shut off. It has been... The main thing I'm trying to decide there is whether I would make a separate channel for it. So we've got all of that. Why did I just do that? Yeah, most of what I've been doing so far is I made the harissa back there, and then I've just been making stock and prepping to make the carrot soup. We're gonna go back in and pull some of the stuff that's missed the strainer. Well, now we know that Mel is prepared to assist with naming. I don't want any of those. Yeah, probably not. I didn't say you were prepared to, like, help come up with names that I actually would use. I said you were prepared to help with naming. Different things. Okay. That's all that. And I need to dump the rest of that. Not grab hot handles with my bare hands. Give this pan a quick rinse. My cooking is not catastrophic. Far from it. Yes, Mel, I got it. You made a pun. Are you proud of yourself? We're gonna turn you on. Grab some butter. If I am leaning towards it being a separate channel. But it is something I have considered. And I've talked with Vamp about it. There you are. Now the big thing I gotta do here is look to pull everything I can see out. What we're gonna do is when we add the stock in, we're gonna add it through this, so it'll catch anything that I've missed. Leek, stock, and wine. Are we making a lock, shock, and barrel joke there, Mel? Okay, we don't want the heat up too high. We want to start with little bit of coriander. A little bit of cumin. Cinnamon stick. Now, this would be a great time for a bouquet garni, but I'm lazy when it comes to that kind of cooking, so we're not going to be doing that. Bouquet garni is something you use when flavoring soups, where you'll make a little piece, you'll take a little piece of cheesecloth, and you will put all of your spices in that you want to cook out the flavor, but you don't want them, they're too tough to be in the finished product. And then you'll take that and you'll close it up with a piece of kitchen twine. One of these days I'll actually do this, but basically you make a little pouch using cheesecloth that's filled with your spices like bay leaves, black peppercorns, cinnamon, stuff like that. Yeah, it's basically a tea bag for soup. That is a really simple way of putting it. But it's functionally a tea bag for soup. You'll take all your spices. I am starting to lose my voice. Delightful. Starting off with the garlic and onions. Poultice would be more ground. Yeah, I need some water. Let's drop the heat on this a little bit. Let me see if I can find a bouquet garni quick. There. Pepper water's not even here anymore. Couldn't drink it if I wanted to. I got rid of it. We're gonna need a thingy of... You're just gonna need a glossary of terms Archon might use. I mean, if people want to start collecting words they don't know that I've said and dropping it in somewhere, I can start defining them. I have no opposition to this plan. But, like, trying to think of every word I might use... Look, I have no opposition. You got distracted, Mel. What? That's a first. You're always just so focused. Especially during your own stream. Now, I was saying if someone wants to make a channel and start collecting... Anytime there's a word people don't know, like I don't know. We can come up with a. We can make a redeem with a sound alert that's like, what did you just say? Where I have to define the word, and we can start collecting them. Just remind me to add a redeem sometime over the weekend. Someone wants to suggest a sound, I'm not going to say no. But sound alerts are the best way to make sure that my attention is grabbed. Because cooking streams require me to pay attention more often to what's happening in front of me and less on the chat. One last carrot to cut up, and then we're gonna toss some harissa in there. Trying to decide if I've cut up too much carrots. The answer is probably not. Some harissa. Bouquet Garnier. A tea bag for soup. A spiced tea bag functionally. Basically, we're going to add the stock into this. Add water if it's not enough. And we're going to boil this in the until the carrots are tender. And then we blend it. Probably go fishing for some of the cinnamon before we go and blend it, but I want to give that a little bit to get a little bit of color onto the carrots. What is in not cat pics? Ah, daylight is proving it's... Okay. Yeah, look! Look, I'm not the one who said it first. I just agreed that it was an accurate description. But yeah, basically it's one of those things that is pretty much used in French cooking and French cooking alone. Where you put your hard spices into a little cheesecloth bag, you tie it with a string, and then you attach the string to the handle of your pot, and you sit it in the soup. So that as the soup boils away, it'll extract the flavors from what's in your bouquet garnier. Kinda like a tea bag spits flavor into the water to make soup. Okay, we're gonna add some stock in here. See where we are in terms of water level. Figure out if we need to top that up a little bit. And we're going to pick the temp up a little bit. No, I don't think we need any more water. I think that made a decent amount of stock for what we're using it for. Now, what I should do, and I may instantly regret this decision, but I should do it. I'm going to try this Teresa. I do not regret that decision in the slightest. That really isn't even spicy. It's just deep and smoky and amazing. Guajillo peppers, which are smoked poblano, I think? They're either smoked or dried, but what are they made from? Mirasol. I don't know. Oh, that one. Yeah, they're like a mild medium. They're called Mirasol. Kind of poblano adjacent, I think. Now I want to know what a smoked poblano is called. Ah, that's ancho. That's right. So smoked poblano is an ancho. What is a smoked jalapeno? I should know this stuff. I used to know this stuff. Chipotle. Smoked jalapeno is chipotle. I don't remember the last time I mean, Chipotle's the peppers are great. Chipotle, the fast casual restaurant chain, not so much. is what I'm looking for even out here. Yeah. I just want to put the rest of this harissa away. I don't remember the last time I had her chipotle. If I've ever had chipotle, honestly. Normally I'd use a ball jar funnel for this, but I couldn't find it. So we're gonna make do with this. Our big jar for small harissa. Do 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 do. Salt. Little pepper. Something was supposed to have. Too late. Give me something. Supposed to be a little bit of apple cider vinegar in there. I'm going to toss some in the soup too. There. Hold that in case I want to add some more at the end. But now this is mostly just about getting the carrots cooked. Because I really don't have much else to do with this. I'm gonna bring our star a little bit more center stage after I clean up here. Just about got you up to a boil. Why are you even in here? But yeah, this is the rest of stream really. We watch a pot boil, cook the carrots, blend them, and that's soup. Oh, Mel wasn't here for it. My plan next week is to do a bunch of different types of pickles. Ow. I mean, if you want to recommend vegetables, as long as I'm okay with that vegetable, I can do a bunch of different stuff. I mostly want to, like, kind of distill that it's a really simple core concept that you evolve. Kind of like the salsa. I think the, um, you don't pickle, you can preserve lemons. That's a big thing in Moroccan cuisine. I suppose in theory you could pickle a lemon rind, but I've just never seen it done. But yeah, the request thread exists. What kind of stuff do you want to see? What vegetables? What types of techniques? I'll have to see if I can get my hands on dill this time of year. Should definitely pick up more salt. Should probably pick up a couple of different vinegars. Actually, I probably have a couple already. I do keep several different kinds of vinegar on me. I know I have white apple cider, white wine. I think I have red wine. Probably have rice. Don't need you. Yeah, rice vinegar can be really fun. Seasoned, unseasoned. My big thing with pickles is why did we allow cucumber to become the default pickle? Are they called I know preserved lemons. Which is like I guess it's kind of pickling. Don't you like salt pack them and let them pseudo ferment? Pickled lemons. Yeah, it's preserved lemons. Curing lemons and salt in their own juice. Kind of. Yeah, I understand why we pickle cucumbers so heavily. I'm just questioning why we allowed it to be like, when you say pickle, you by default mean pickled cucumber. But everything else is pickled blank. Pickled blank. Ah, I did not consider that issue with pudding. Oh well, you're just gonna have to deal with the steam in your face every so often. I mean, I think the frequency with which we pickle cucumbers is probably that they're about as prolific as zucchini or other summer squashes, but they'll actually pickle. Don't try to pickle zucchini. It just turns to mush. It's gross. Make zucchini bread. Yeah, we're gonna move this a little bit to the side. So it's still on camera, but not directly underneath. If you're paying attention to the list I put in the cooking channel, you're probably sitting here like, when does the yogurt come in? You'll find out. It's a garnish. Yeah. So a lot of the recipes I was seeing for this, the like big garnishes in general, one of which I'm not doing because I forgot to get chickpeas, honestly. And I forgot to put them into list, is you roast chickpeas and they'll like sit on the top and add a crunch component. The other is yogurt, which serves the role that cream or heavy cream or sour cream serve in a lot of soups, where they are like a color contrast on the surface. If I had multiple burners or like some method of roasting something in here, this is when I would do the chickpeas, just so that there's something for me to do. Because right now I'm just staring at a boiling pot. I should grab a fork so I can keep an eye on how the carrots are coming along. I'm gonna need the blender. Ah, this is useful. Tough, can you either stay still or not be in my way? So this is the skimmer I was talking about earlier. The fine mesh, so you'd put this and skim it around the surface so you can grab the impurities that'll cook out of the bones right at the beginning that you don't want in your finished product. Also, I went out for a very specific reason, and because I have ADHD, I did not do that specific thing I went out to do. The fork. Take two. Ready? Wait, we're not fighting. What we are doing is taking an ad break. And I'll be back in a few. Have fun watching a pot boil. Double, double toil and trouble. Fire burning cauldron bubble! Y'all can't smell this, but it smells good. Hi, Crowley. That's our harissa. These will eventually all go back out there. Starting to get there. Same thing you're looking for with potatoes. Though with potatoes, because you don't want them to absolutely disintegrate in what you're doing them, what you're using them for, you want them to have a little bit of resistance. But like, we want these, because these are going to be getting blended, we want the fork to go in really easily. It's getting there. So yeah, we started today by making a stock. Really simple, just carrots, onion, celery. That's a French stock. It's what I learned. There are other stocks. Pretty much every culinary region is going to have its own stock that's going to start off of its holy trinity. So like Cajun uses peppers, celery, onion instead of carrots. You get ginger, garlic, and scallions in Chinese cooking a lot. It's really just aromatic vegetables that are easily obtained. Use the stuff that you wouldn't in your dish. Boil it to extract the flavors, and use that where you use water, so we're adding flavor. Because cooking is just about adding flavor and adding flavor and adding flavor and building on itself. Because this is getting towards the end, I'm going to start pulling the cinnamon out as much as I can. Because it's imparted the flavor out, but we don't want it in the finished product because it won't grind down very well. Get back here. This is a little bit of a fishing expedition. You do your best to find it all, which is why French make bouquet garnier, because if we had a bouquet garnier at this point, all we do is take our spiced tea bag out and dump. You can see caraway seeds, cumin seeds, we've got coriander, we've got cinnamon, we've got a basic stock, we've got some harissa that we made at the start of the day out of guajillo chilies. God, what's the whole list? Guajillo chilies, cumin, coriander, caraway, garlic, paprika, lemon, apple cider vinegar, tomato paste, and olive oil. All of those dry spices get toasted, everything gets mixed together, blended. Rehydrate your dried peppers with some boiling water. Cover them to steam. I will highlight today's stream. And I think I am tending towards I might start sticking those highlights up on a separate YouTube channel. I just need to come up with a name. But once it's made, I'll post it in Discord. It's gonna get like a video every week or two. Just as we do cooking streams, things get over there. We're like a little bit further. We are getting towards the end, so I should start getting ready to plate too. Which means 2 bowls. The yogurt. Fun part is how blender has a very short cord on it. For that, this is going to come up onto the table, which it can, so that it's not dragging down. We've got our blender over here. Come on. There you go. Now the big question is, will this fit in there? Only one way to find out. If you don't have if you have an immersion blender, this is a point where you could use an immersion blender. I don't want to take an immersion blender to my brand new cast iron Dutch oven, so we're using a blender. Yeah, that's going in pretty clean. Depending on your blender, you may do this in batches. Yeah, I think this is going to have to be across 2 batches. So what I can do is turn that off. Because it's going to be across 2 batches, I'm going to need a bowl to pull things out into. So there's our blender of carrots and the stock they were cooked in. To make sure that we don't have an open spot there. And we're gonna make loud grindy noises, so mic goes off now. Okay, that is the first half. Of our carrot soup. Now we can start putting the rest in. Just getting all the carrots in here. And then, can I do this one-handed? Yep. Round 2 of blending. We gotta pull. We want to pull this away from the spout. back in there. And loud grindy noises, so mute. Ah, that I am. All I said was that is good. I'm gonna start moving things aside. Could stand with a slightly better blender, but you work with what you have. I brought a spoon. Yep, there it is. I think this could maybe stand with a little bit more liquid in it. This isn't the yogurt I got. Where's the yogurt I got? That's French onion dip. It's not in my mini fridge, is it? Nope. I swear I just got yogurt. No, there was yogurt in there, but that had been in there. It's older.